Hey, what's up? It's Phoenix. It definitely hasn't been easy lately with the break-in and with life changes and just going through difficulties and trying to figure out life, trying to figure out myself. I've definitely been puzzled. It's definitely been a puzzle. I am super glad that I've been able to resolve a lot of feelings through my writing, through counseling, through family and friends. I'm super grateful that spring is here finally and I get to enjoy this wonderful weather. I definitely enjoy my new place. It's definitely been really nice. And I feel very happy about things that I hadn't felt in quite a while. Feeling that kind of hope. I would say that I'm still driven though. I'm still driven whether or not it is to understand and put together the puzzle or to even just acknowledge the puzzles that still exist. I've been obsessed with puzzles, actually. Currently finishing up my novel Puzzle World, which I'm super stoked about. But I've been thinking a lot about how there really does seem to be a lack of resolution to most things in life. And how we might think because stories seem to be linear and narrative seems to be orderly, that basically we end up in a situation where things aren't what they seem, things don't come together, and the lack of resolution shows us that what we came to expect, which was some order or some sense of understanding, is actually not even there. And I guess that is my statement right now, or my maxim that I would express, which is there is no resolution. Resolution is very difficult to find, if you can find it at all. And so the more I think about these things, the more that I feel like it does make sense in a kind of artistic or philosophical sense to give in to the puzzle, to accept the puzzle for what it is, to accept that the puzzle will be there, whether you like it or not, and understand that that is the way that it often turns out to be for a lot of people. It's certainly not ideal. I can definitely understand parts of it where you would think that you'd be able to find some degree of resolution, you'd be able to solve part of what's going on. And I felt more and more that you actually can't. And so that is why they describe this whole notion of being able to fall in love with the riddles, to embrace the process and to not feel so concerned about all the things that you may never know. And I have to acknowledge that as an artist, it does make sense that a lot of my work is very open-ended, which means a lot of my expressions are open-ended, which might even reflect my actual experiences, which are open-ended. It's human to want to crave a resolve. It's human to want to crave a solution. And it's understandable why we do this. It's understandable why we seek those solutions. And I just admit, I've been thinking about how much I do want to solve the puzzle, how much I do want to figure it out. But how it might be one of those things where I might not be able to figure it out at all. It's very possible that those things will just remain what they are, and that's okay. And I guess that's kind of what I've been thinking about is like, there are so many things to enjoy in life, so many things to experience, so many things to fall in love with. And I think while it goes against human nature to want to find that solution, I think more and more I just want to be able to embrace the things that I don't understand. I, of course, mean these puzzles in a variety of ways. Puzzles of how we think, puzzles of what the universe is, puzzles of why we exist, what our personality is, what our experiences are, what reality is. And the more that we try to understand these things, the more that we realize that we're not able to. But I also see the generating or the self-generation of questions as being incredibly important to the process, because ultimately that allows you to explore things in a way that doesn't become too dogmatic or rigid. And this is hard to do, I'll admit, because if science shows us anything, it shows us that some things might actually be able to be solved, some things might actually be able to be understood, and that's what math and science show us, which is that there are certain answers that can be grasped. I still think that is limited, however, and that's important because there are going to be all of those things that we'll never be able to even really comprehend, but I think it's important to at least pose the question. That to me is what I've learned in life, is to be able to pose that question, because it is a form of freedom and because it is a form of putting it together. And you don't have to have the whole picture complete to dazzle and be dazzled by it. And I think that that's one of the things that gives me so much hope, is that I realize that I like asking questions. And there is that way in which I do keep it open-ended inquiry, open-ended thought, open-ended creativity and writing and words. And if I really want to think about it in terms of this infinity, think about it in terms of this infinite reality that we find ourselves in and the infinite words that could describe it all, I don't want to take the boring realist view that it is all understood and that it is all comprehensible, and actually kind of acknowledge that I may not understand most of it, but I want to ask those questions, because that to me represents the freedom of it all. That represents the freedom that is so incredibly important, that I think to be able to keep that curiosity and spark alive and to not give up on what makes sense to you and what it is that gives you meaning in life. And I never want to lose sight of that. I never want to lose sight of being able to ask those questions. And I'd rather acknowledge the puzzle than try to pretend that it doesn't exist or that I have the answer in my rigid dogma, my rigid understanding. Because I would say, as difficult as life has been, I've realized that I don't really know why things have happened the way that they've happened. Regardless of my best efforts, I would say that I'm perplexed and baffled by it. And that just is the way that it is, probably for most people. Of course, we can live in that logical frame of mind. We can live in that mindset where we feel as though we can explain most things. And there's value in that for sure, in the certainty that comes from it. But I also think there's more to it to explore. And that's what I've been thinking about a lot, which is I just want to explore it. I want to investigate. I want to pose those questions so I can start thinking about them and think about what it is that is so meaningful to me. Because I do find meaning in the questions. I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with not feeling as though I'm even at home in the world sometimes, because I am okay with the discomfort and with the complexity therein. So I admit it. I'm Phoenix and I am puzzled and I don't know what's going on. I don't know why things happen the way that they do. But I am glad, A, that I found some resolution with recent events and in life in general, in my life recently, especially with the change of the season and the things that have come together in my life. But I also acknowledge I may never know. And I really am okay with that. I think there's excitement and fun to be found in such a situation. So yeah, I'm Phoenix. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon.